Not exactly sure why that doesn't work the way it's supposed to. Mop Man, congratulations, man. 9-year anniversary. Congratulations. That was awesome to hear. Mop Man walked away from a business 9 years ago to protect his sobriety, and I respect the hell out of that. Honey, good to see you. Jerry Ellen, how are you? Hey, William. Gabrielle, the cheap chick. Skeeter, good to see you. Ruby, how are you? Meredith Lynn, how have you been? Always a pleasure. Anna, good to see you. Lisa Trimble, good to see you. Lou, how are you? Hey, Christian. There's another Christian in here too. Jason, I'm glad you're here. I Rule, there you are. Aspire to inspire. Ruby for justice. Well, justice is it's getting harder to find, isn't it? Conquer Christie, good to see you. Uh-oh. Damn, the wife's here. Can't really be a jerk with the wife around. Randy Pearson, good to see you. Jennifer Steps, what's happening? Whitby Island Girl, how are you? Diaz, Kitty, Diane, I'm glad you're here. Robin, Jamie Palmer, good to see you. Debbie Lovin' Life, glad you are here. Hey, Brock Bandy, thanks for everything you do. Lightning Strike, Chef Brian K, wouldn't be a show without you. Hello, Glenn. Loretta Hauser. Jeannie Beck, how are you? Hey, Paula. All right, let's get this show underway. Sherry, good to see you. So I did a show last night. And a lot of you saw it by way of just simply analytics. Hey, Cat, Jamie Palmer, by way of analytics, I think almost everybody saw it. Vivian, how are you? At least for my audience, that was there's a lot of people that saw that. And when that happens, you get lucky and you pick up more subscribers, which is always a beautiful thing. Alberta, Canada, I'm glad that you are. Yeah, I can't keep up with you. Alberta, good to see you. Glad that you are here. Welcome. I love it when people say where they're coming in from too. Lacey Silver, I'm glad you are here. Always in my prayers, Lacey. Always in my prayers. So we pick up new subscribers every time that happens. And this is going to sound really insane. Hey, Sherry Bianca, good to have you here. This is going to sound really stupid from a content creator. But you know something? Smack that like button, hit subscribe, and hit the bell for notification. I'm a YouTuber. But every once in a while, when you get a bunch of new people, you get people that don't. New Hampshire, 69 in Vermont for a really long time. Love New Hampshire. I grew up right next to you, just on the other side of the Connecticut River, actually. I know exactly where I know your state very well. We used to go over there for liquor and booze and beer that you didn't have to pay tax on. Sure, it was a ride, but it saves a lot of money. Hi from the UK, Jackie. Good to see you. So here's what happens, man. You get a lot of new people in, and some of them just don't get the vibe of what we do. And you get a lot of people in the chat that feel like, because of how I talk, maybe it's just okay to kind of be a dick. And it's not. It's just not. And I don't know how many comments we got yesterday, but if it wasn't 400, it was really close. And for a video of the size that we did, that's a lot of interaction. And absolutely you can. Can I get some ones? My neighbor has the big C, stage 4. He has 2 young girls. Stage 4 cancer is no joke. Can we get some ones in the chat? Hey, Kathy Clarinet, good to see you. Can we get some ones in the chat, people? Ones are prayers, digital hugs, messages, whatever it is. I'm a guy that prays. If you're not, that's all good, right? I don't much care what you do. If you're showing love, that's really kind of what's important, right? It really is. And there's a lot of comments that get left that are just hateful, and I just delete those people. And then there are people that leave comments that just make you want to put your thumbs on someone's throat and choke the life out of him, maybe break that hyoid bone. Know what I'm saying? Huh? Johnny says, let me do it. So here's the thing, man. Someone said, you've told us who you are. Should we believe it? Punisher, good to see you. Yeah, you should. I've never claimed to be a good person. I'm probably never going to. And I'll be honest with you, I'm scared shitless by people that tell me they are good people. I really am. I'm not exactly sure I know what a good person is. I spend a lot of time around people that are not. Someone the other day said, do you miss anything from prison? And people probably thought that was a funny comment. And there's something that I missed. I said that you miss respect. You know what else you miss? The ability to punch someone in the face when they're not respectful. And I've come a long way, people. I really have. But I am what I am. And I go out of my way to not be that person on a daily basis. And I haven't smacked anybody. It's been a long time since I did anything like that. Zero Fox Given Mouse, good to see you. I haven't smacked anybody in the face in a really long time. And right before going on a show, I mean less than 2 weeks ago, we look out the window and there's a guy out there smacking his girl around in public. And I didn't punch him in the face. I really didn't. I went down there with Johnny Scoble and I stopped it from happening, but I didn't punch the guy in the face. I'm not going to lie to you. I shook the shit out of him. I got his attention, but I'm not punching people in the face these days, right? I'm not that person. However, on here, hello, Audrey in Denver. Hey, Jax. Hey, Barbara Waite. I'm not going to go out of my way, right, to coddle people who are mean to other people. And I don't need to hear you if you're mean to me either, right? You're kind of in my living room. You want free speech? Free speech keeps you from getting put in prison for things that you say. It does not get you a pass of me saying, I'm going to block your carcass because I find you rude. And you know what? If you watched last night's show, we probably spent about 20 minutes going back and forth with someone that was trying to make a point that disagreed with me. I didn't yell at the person. I didn't say there's anything wrong with the person. You have every right to disagree. And I will be respectful to you if you're respectful to me. If you're not, I'm going to block you. Right? I'm going to block you. And I'm not going to feel bad about doing it. In fact, I'm going to get that you know what, eating grin on my face. I don't want to curse in front of Mama Scoville in case she's watching. Just found your channel and I love it. Your honesty and style is so refreshing. Well, thank you. Hopefully you feel like that next week. Royce, good to see you. Uh-oh. The Marines are already on the scene. Never fear. The fiercest fighting force in the world will make thee quick. Yeah, you know what? It does feel like it's getting cold too. I hate to admit. Abigail, it is good to see you. I'm glad that you're here. I'm always honored when you're here, Abigail. I really am. You're a beautiful human being. Primitive Lifeways, good to see you. Whine a little bit more. What's happening? So I'm going to run some people off because we're going to go over some true crime here. And we're not going over a case. We're going to talk about true crime and what it means. And if this doesn't jive with what you think true crime is, here's the good news, man. There's 1,000 people that do what I do, if not more, right? If not more. There are so many people out there that do true crime. Find somebody that flips your freaking switch and that doesn't bother you in the way that I do, right? I literally have had people leave comments that say things like, you need to lower your voice. I feel like you're screaming at me. Would you go see the Bee Gees and say, why do you sing this high? Could you maybe bring it a little bit lower? Would you go see Rush and say, hey, Geddy Lee, you kind of sound like a woman. Maybe you could drop that down an octave because it's a little less offensive to those of us in the fifth row. I'm not twisting arms to have you here. If you don't dig my style, I get it. I come at this in a very, very difficult, in a very different way, rather. Audrey in Denver's known me long enough. If you're pissed off, Tommy, I'm here for it. I need some release. Reese helped. Yeah, you know what? Reese is amazing. She's one of the kindest people in the world. She really is. I wish I was kinder. And I swear to you, whether or not you believe it, I am working on it on a daily basis. And that's what I've always said. I'm not a good person. But I'm trying every day to be a better person than I was yesterday. And that's the best I can promise you. And am I gonna get a little am I gonna grit my teeth? Now that guy is over at Fugitive TV. Am I gonna grit my teeth every once in a while? I probably am. But not because you disagree with me. I don't have a problem with anybody disagreeing with me. The idea here is different than other channels. This is discourse. Tell me what your opinion is. And if your opinion is this, I'll give you a perfect example of true crime and what I'm not gonna put up with. If you say, I guarantee you Savannah did this. The reason that Nancy Guthrie is dead is because Savannah wanted this. And I go, all right, please explain that to me. If you don't, I'm probably going to be a jerk, right? If you say something, maybe have an ability to back up what your opinion is. Doesn't mean I'm going to agree with you. But if it's articulated well, like there's a person in the chat. I can't remember. I mean, they leave comments. I don't know that I've ever seen them in the chat. But we were talking about the case. Can't think of his name. The redheaded guy, Murdoch. We were talking about Murdoch, and they said, I completely agree with what you say about the woman in there tainting this jury, and the guy should probably get some action for that. I disagree with you about them bringing up all of the crimes that he did. That is absolutely probative, and here's why I believe that. And we went back and forth about 9 times, man, right? And it's her argument and my argument don't agree. But I'll tell you what, you want to talk about a well-articulated argument? I can't be upset with that. And at the end of it, I said, you know what? You make a great argument. You know, honestly, you should be the prosecutor in this case because the argument was well thought out. It was beautifully articulated. We're not always going to agree. We should call the long distance foreplay boat. Yeah, well, you know, it would. We do get on the phone occasionally too. I've been banned from making comments on several loser channels because I won't shut up about you. Well, that's a quick way to get banned. I promise you. You're lucky YouTube hasn't gotten rid of you. My definition of good person is someone who tries to be better every day. Lisa Trimble, thank you for saying that. That's what I'm shooting for. And I'm not going to lie to you, people. I'm never going to be the guy that doesn't want to punch you in the face if you say something that's disrespectful. However, my wife is going to say to me, Tommy, come on, you're better than that. Or this person doesn't deserve that. Maybe they were having a bad day. And it doesn't mean I'm going to agree with her. But she is the woman that I love. And more than likely, I'm going to go, all right, I won't block them, right? And she's probably right most of the time, right? She's probably right most of the time. And I'm willing to defer to that. She definitely has a much calmer and cooler demeanor. In the heat of the moment, if I ever say anything that bums you out, I'm sorry, I truly am. But sometimes this is what you have to realize too, that when you have a channel that allows people to weigh in and you say, hey, I think this is just to cover up the Epstein crimes. And you may not realize that I've answered that question without exaggeration 150 times. So when I try to do it nicely and move on and someone wants to continue to beat it, I may lose it. And I apologize for that in advance. I've got my daily fix of Reese. You know what? I don't get enough of that ever. Although I got a little this morning. Giggity. You can't offend me, but you can hurt my feelings. I'm going to try not to. I'll be honest. I can't stand hurting people's feelings. And I've done it before. And then I've got to go and apologize. And I hate that, man. I really do. I hate that. Walla Walla. Uh-oh. Tommy, this is your show and your boat we're on. We don't. You don't have to explain yourself to all the haters. We're here for not the asshats. Well, here's the thing. I block the asshats, and I'm not explaining this for them. I'm explaining it for the people that think that because I open this up for everything, that any opinion, no matter what it is going to be allowed. If the opinion is based completely on hate. And the perfect example of this is the woman, and somebody said to me, I can't believe you called that woman the B word. This woman came in and started talking about Savannah Guthrie. And there were, I'm not kidding you, 7 comments in a row that were just cutting this woman down. In the beginning, I said, I can understand that. I see where you come from. And the person then said, and I have people on the inside at NBC. And I said, well, I don't. And I continued and I said, but I'm watching this woman age over time. And she said, she's not aging. She's just taking the makeup off so people will feel sorry for her. And I bit my lip. And the next one, and I just said, yeah, you just sound like a bitch. I'm sorry, but you do. And there are people out there that are. I'm sorry. And I don't call women that. You know, you hear guys say, yeah, my B word. I would never refer to my wife that way. I find that absolutely reprehensible, right? But there are people out there that go out of their way to get called that. And when I do, I apologize in advance, right? I'm not trying to be that person. Every once in a while, I end up losing it. And it's because, and what offends people is not everybody catches 365 days of me a year, right? But I continue to do this every single day. Smack that like button, hit subscribe, and hit the bell for notification. Get over there and hit subscribe at my brother Johnny Scoville's channel. It's called Chase the Heat. And then go over and check out my wife at Relatable Reese. If you don't, I'm going to start yelling at you too. I can't back that up. But see this? See, some people get it. Yeah, sometimes you have to call them out. And you know what? I don't always agree with everybody, but we can disagree about all kinds of stuff. We really can, as long as we're respectful, right? We're respectful. Like somebody left a comment yesterday that said, and I'm supposed to take any of this from an effing felon. I'm probably not going to keep you around. I've been really honest about my felonies, and there's a bunch of them. The reason that I do true crime is because I come at this in a very, very different way. You know what? It's actually not a bad tune. I can't tell you the name of the creator. Some of you might be able to figure it out, but this person cheated to win a bet with me. Had a cop tell me that song was actually by somebody other than who it was. And I didn't realize until I got out of prison. I was salty about it. Brian was saying no evidence inside Nancy home. I don't know that I believe that. Thank you. Welcome to the boat. I promise you, you are in really good company. I may not be a good person, but the number of good people that are on this channel, it's almost frightening. Keep it up, Tommy. I'm sorry you have to deal with those types of people, but keep on going. You're doing a fantastic job. What a kind thing to say. And you're keeping free speech alive. I'll tell you what, people, if I didn't say the word rape in the first 30 seconds of yesterday's show, holy hell, the number of people that would have seen that. But it seems very disrespectful to people that have endured that to call it grape. I like grapes, man. Green ones, red ones, pressed into wine. If you take the stems, press that in too, you get grappa. Love it. Lacey Silver just turned 5 of you green. Lacey, thank you so much. It means the world to me. Now, I'm going to go off. Right now, I'm going to lose my mind. And I'm not going to offend any of you, right? Here's this. How good is this? I'm not going to offend any of you, but I'm going to go off here real briefly because I feel like this may be an opportunity. Lacey Silver, did you do that twice on purpose? If you didn't, let me know and we'll figure out a way to get that back to you. But if you did, thank you so much. That really is keeping free speech alive. Good Lord, would you look at this? So yesterday I told you guys, I was having a bad day. I started the show saying this has not been a good day. And I'll tell you what happened. I told Johnny Scoble, I said, I'm going to tell people what happened. I'm going to preface this by saying that people like me get called digital panhandlers. They get called, grifters, right? So no super chats in relation to what I'm about to tell you. I'm not joking. Please don't do it. Can I also get some ones for a guy on this online game I play? He's not a fan of me and told me to drink bleach and unalive myself. Wow.
You said unalive.
Well, that's what she wrote. I was just reading that he wanted you to commit suicide. Well, that's just all wrong. What kind of person is that, man? You know what? Now I'm angry. That kind of hate is. You know what, though? It says a lot about the world that we live in, doesn't it? Like this kind of stuff is just allowed these days. And I find that distressing to beat hell. Kids go into school and people say, hey, you need to do this, this, and this. And people go, F you, I'm not doing that. Do you know what would have happened to me if I said that? I wouldn't have worried about the teacher. I was talking to my mom about this today. I had a great conversation with my mom. And my mom said, you have no idea how hard it is for teachers. My mom was a teacher. My sister's a teacher. Everybody in my family that is on that side of the gender gap is a teacher. If you're a woman in our family, you became a teacher. And she said that the disrespect in there now. She said, I remember when you guys were in school and, you know, Johnny, you didn't give me a whole lot of trouble, but I was down there every day dealing with Tommy. It was not funny. She only knew. But she would go down there and the principal would say, your son is doing X, Y, and Z. And a teacher would go, your son is screwing up bad. And my mother would go, what are you doing? And turn at me and just light me up. She wasn't the immediate, you know, oh no, you guys, he's a good boy. What are you doing? My mom would light me up like the 4th of July. And that's probably what needs to happen. But we don't do that anymore, do we? It's kind of getting scary. Debbie Love and Life, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. And boy, are you missing out the weather right here. I'm not trying to rub it in, but boy, the weather is good right now. Wait till next season. You're going to love it. So here it is. Bad Mama C says, I am a Libra. I will often give the other side of whatever is commented. I argue with myself. Heck of a time making up my mind. It's not personal. I've never taken anything you've said personally. What do you think of that? Not once. You're respectful as hell. You make a good argument. I have no problem with anything you say. Have I ever been mean to you, Big Mama C? If I have, I apologize. But you are always very, very respectful.
I wouldn't allow it.
Johnny said he'd beat me if I had been. Well, thank you so much. So here's why I was pissed yesterday, and I'm going to tell you why. Hey, look at this. Another person turning green, and one of the cutest cats you would ever want to see. Look at the ears on that boy. Could be a girl. Let me see. Is that a boy or a girl? Now I need to know. Tracy, what do we got there? Is that I have a thing for girl kitties. I'm just going to be honest. I prefer girl kitties. Not that I don't love boy kitties. My cat Moose is one of the best. But so this is what happened to me yesterday. I'm just going to tell you. Now, listen, don't start throwing cash around. Doesn't need to happen for that reason. I just want you to understand what happened. I checked my bank account before I go to sleep. It's a habit I've done for a very long time. I got up the following morning, and when I checked my account, right, it was $2,000, a little less than that, like $1,980, less than what I had the night before. I don't spend that kind of money on anything, right? Like I'm not a guy that blows a lot of cash. And I'm like, what in the hell is this? So I looked. Before I moved here, back when the ship hit the iceberg, so to speak, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, it doesn't matter. But there was a period of time where I thought, maybe I won't do this anymore, right? It was after Diddy and it was after a lot of other crap. And I just thought, you know what? Maybe this isn't for me. All of the hatred and everything else. Sorry, I'm not trying to make anyone mad, and I will never give anyone that level of power over me. In fact, it made me laugh in a moment, but he really needs to chill a bit. He needs prayers. That kind of hate doesn't come from a really nice place. G-Man, good to see you, man. I was just asking Johnny Scoville about you today. I said, you know, the chat was fast last night. If I missed G-Man, I'm glad that you are here. So I look at my bank account, and I'm like, how did this happen? Well, back then, when I was planning on maybe doing something else, we were looking at a couple of other business investments, and one of them we dropped a lot of money into. We decided that we were going to buy some domain names that really worked well with what we were doing. And I might have had a couple of beers, but I bought a lot of domain names, a lot. I mean, literally, there were probably 100, maybe more, right? And the next thing you know, I owned all of them, and we developed a few of them, and some of them we didn't. And we got out of that business, and the person that took it over is doing well. It's a beautiful thing. But we moved to South America, so it was kind of irrelevant. When we did, I said to the guy, do you want these domains? He said, no, I'm just going to develop the ones I got. So I canceled all of them, right? GoDaddy.com hit me for, and I have the email where I canceled this. So the good news is, because I've never deleted an email in my life. So I have the email that proves that I got rid of this, right? Which is a beautiful thing. However, hold on one second, because this is important. Boy, my daughters, his name is Bear. He is perfect. Johnny watches, there you go. How about that? He watches Katy Perry on TV. Well, Katy Perry's a very pretty cat. If I was a boy cat, I would be in love with Katy Perry until I got to know her. She's a menace. Hey, everybody, do me a favor. Smack that like button, hit subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. So poof, I've lost $2,000. So I contacted my bank and said, hey, can you explain to me how this happened? And they said, well, it's a recurring deal that happens once a year. And I said, well, the funny thing is, it's long past a year ago that I got this. And they just decided to bill me now. They said, well, don't worry about it. All you got to do is contest the charge. So I go to contest the charge, but it's pending. So the money's out of my account, but I can't do anything about it until after it goes through. That was yesterday. Today, it's still pending. Once it finally goes through, I can contest it. And I said, when will I get this money back? And they said, 4 to 6 weeks. Now, I'm not dying, right? We live in a country where it's easier to live, right? You can, but what would happen if that tied up every penny you had in your account for 4 to 6 weeks? So I drafted a letter to GoDaddy.com. And as I am normally, I was very kind, very level-headed. And I didn't bring up the bleach thing, but it got pretty close. I mean, being honest, it wasn't very nice. And I sent them a copy of the letter that 6 months ago I said, hey, man, I already canceled this. Why is it you're billing me for it? But it's a shocker to get up in the morning and see your bank account having $1,986 less than it had the day before. And it chapped my backside. So when I was just starting to go last night, I had just gotten through the hustle with my bank, and I'm not going to badmouth my bank. I will soon if they don't fix this. But I was so pissed at GoDaddy.com when I started yesterday's stream that I was already in a mood, right? I was already in a mood. Here's the deal. I apologize that I allow things in my life to sometimes crawl into this arena. But in True Crime 101, a case will happen. And one of two things is going to happen. We have no suspects, literally none. Think of the dentist and his wife, right? Monique and Spencer Tepe. When that happened, nothing. We don't even have a name. We don't have anybody that could be a suspect. They never mentioned the fact that she had a husband that she had been married to who's a psycho. We knew none of that. So we're sitting around going, how did this happen? You can't say, well, I think it's the neighbor. This guy looks good for this crime. Instead, we just kind of hold our hands, cross our fingers, and start yelling that it's taken the cops way too long, even if it's 6 days. How do they not have anybody yet? This is true crime. It happens in every single one of those cases. I promise you. However, if there is a cast of characters, then we weigh in on them. I've never said Neckbeard is guilty. I said out of the cast of characters that we're working with, this is my favorite guy. Why? Because in True Crime 101, right? You know what? I swear to you, I said the exact same thing. I said, why is it that you can take it out with one keystroke, but you can't put it back for 6 weeks? Well, probably because if you did that all year long, can you imagine the interest? Seriously, with everybody you got in the bank? Anyway, don't get me started. But I've never said this guy's guilty. And the people that say to me, how dare you? Somebody called me a grifter, just grifting off of the pain of the family. Good Lord, I'm not JLR, right? I'm not parked out in front of the house. I'm not having somebody's mail sent to me. Do you guys know that one? The guy that shot up Aurora, Colorado. Remember the guy that dressed up like Batman? He filed paperwork to have that guy's mail sent to his house. How do you not go to prison for that? I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but how do you not go to prison for that? Right? For real. Hey, this guy, Dougley, I can't say that, said Porch Guy called in on his channel and confessed. That would really be interesting. However, one of the problems with doing stuff live is that it's really kind of easy to give a platform to lunatics. For instance, in 2025, there were a lot of people executed in the United States of America. Don't weigh in on that. I don't care if you believe in it or don't believe in it. But one of the guys who was getting ready to be executed said, O.J. Simpson hired me to kill his wife and Ron Goldman. I assure you that didn't happen. But if you platform those people, then people will watch that and go, you know what? Told you OJ didn't do it, right? The problem with this kind of content creation is most people will absolutely platform anybody for views. The drunk guy that walks up and says, I don't know who did it. Or, someone that says, I had a dream and I can tell you exactly where that person is. I'm not saying that that's bad, but I'm not going to do it here. Because on my channel, what we would like to do is go with the information that we have. And the information we have, we got to fall back on. My money is on the healthcare worker that lived in Nancy, that Nancy fired. Here's the thing. So true crime fashion, right? True crime fashion. One of the first things they do is they get a list of everybody that they can rule out of a DNA pool or a blood pool or anything pool, footprints. So the first thing they do is they go, who the hell comes into this house? Who has worked in this house? And they start going through all of these. And then the next question is going to be, did she fire anybody? Did she have any bad interactions with anyone that worked at the house? Anybody call her a B word before they walked off or stormed off of a job site? They do all of these things so they can start chasing these people down, right? And what ends up happening is those people end up getting investigated before we ever know their names. Another great example is Luke. A lot of people say my money is on Luke. Luke has a criminal record. So do I. If I were in Tucson and they said, hey, this guy Scoville's car was in the neighborhood, you pull up my criminal record and everybody on planet Earth is going to go, he did it. I don't have anything in my criminal record that resembles this kind of violent behavior. Nevertheless, you got that on your record, you're done. Luke's car, they had, right? They downloaded everything in Luke's car, had it back to him within 7 to 10 days? Who is Luke? Luke is the guy that was one of the two people in the Land Rover or Land Rover that got pulled over. I think it was either the 13th of February, something like that. They pulled him over in a parking lot. They put a big tarp up over the back of the car, and everybody said her body's in the back. That's why they put the tarp up. They put the tarp up because every swinging you-know-what with a cell phone was out there filming, and they didn't want their evidence and their crime scene on everybody's channel the following day on YouTube, right? What do you think of porch guy being let into the house by someone that was already inside, i.e. the back door being opened? I've said that since day one. Since day one, I said porch guy, in my opinion, right, is he went to the front door. Well, here's the thing. It was from my account. If it was from the credit card, I could cancel the credit card. And if I do, I'm going to wait weeks to get the new one down here, and that ain't going to happen. I'd rather lose the money than lose my card for a month. But anyway, and I've lost where I was going. They didn't call it dope for nothing. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those things. Yeah, Luke had a Range Rover. Luke is a guy that had a criminal record. They chased this guy down. He went in for interrogation. Prop the doors open. Thank you. I believe that somebody went to the front to get rid of the camera. And the reason that they had to get rid of the camera was because if they did not, then this scene right here was going to be visible to the entire world, right? Let's see if this one gives us a good look. All right, you see that? That's the handrail, that black thing that you see that divides, that bifurcates, right, the walkway into two different halves. That's a handrail so that they can walk up the 2 or 3 steps that are there, right? If you pull a car up there, you're going to be seen. The smart way to take her out, if you're trying to get her out without being seen as fast as possible, is to have to transport her the shortest distance as possible to the getaway car. As a criminal, that makes sense, right? So you're going to take her from the door to right where that post is. However, that camera is going to tell them exactly what kind of car it was, what year it was made, all that jazz. So his job was to go there and take care of the camera, in my opinion, as just a guy setting up a crime. So what you would do is take out that camera, and then your guy says from the back, is the camera out? Yeah. All right, door's open. Now you both go in there and you grab the woman. And they would be going in there, in my opinion. This is opinion. Right? This is an opinion show. But they go in there to grab the woman because if they were going for something else, they would have stolen stuff. Thieves steal stuff. Last I heard, they couldn't find the healthcare worker. I don't know if they ever talked to him or not. I heard it was a her, not a him. But we're hearing that from where? You follow me? Last I heard is a phrase you hear a lot in true crime. And we hear it from other channels. And we assume that those other channels are going to go out of their way to be honest, right? But that doesn't necessarily happen. Hold on one second. Family, you know. This is the kind of thing that is absolutely an epidemic in true crime. Well, I heard right? That Neckbeard had power of attorney over Nancy Guthrie. Obviously, this is a problem, but nobody can verify that fact anywhere. But we just keep saying it. And the more it gets said, the more we start to believe it. So I don't know about the healthcare worker. I really don't. But I do have faith that it's going to be a very rare day when some of us say, I think it's this person and the FBI has not talked to him already. Because if we know their name, then there's a really good chance that, hold on one second. Sorry, people, you got to bear with me. Nikki, Ohio. Why do I know your name? Why does that name sound familiar to me? I think Neckbeard walked in the house when he brought her back to make sure she got in okay, and he unlocked the door so they could get in later. See, that's a theory that might make sense, right? Honestly, that's a theory that could make sense. I don't know. I really don't. It's logical, right? But you also heard the daughter say that there was a lot of times that she didn't lock those back doors, which is a bummer, right? In my opinion, he was staging the scene. Okay, now this is one that from the chat on Reese's channel. Well, happy to have you here, Nikki, Ohio. I'm glad that you're here. There's so much hearsay that's not enough proof. It's shameful. Yeah, and I understand them not wanting to keep, they want to keep their cards close to their chest. I don't have a problem with that. Thank you, little redneck. I appreciate the support. In my opinion, he was staging the scene to make it look like a kidnapping. Nothing was disturbed in the house but blood on the front mat and the front door. Okay, what's the benefit? This is another one of those examples. What's the benefit to staging the scene to make it look like a kidnapping? What do they get out of that? As a criminal, and I'm just talking to you as a retired criminal, staging this to look like a kidnapping is the worst decision that a criminal could make on planet Earth, right? Somebody left a comment that said, no, they're doing that because they paid that person to go to the front. That way they'll chase that person. And when they find that person's going to tell on whoever paid him to do that. That fast, I promise you. That fast, right? So, but if you want to stage this, thank you, little redneck. I appreciate the support, and you're keeping free speech alive. I really appreciate it. By making this look like a kidnapping instead of something else, you're talking about bringing in the FBI. If you're a criminal, there are 3 letters that scare you more than anything in the world, and those letters are FBI. They don't stop, right? There are cold cases all over the place. Find a bunch of cold cases that have been investigated by the FBI. They'll go 5 or 6 years. They don't care. They'll blow their budget. States have to worry about how much are we spending on this case when there's all these other things going on. The feds just print money, right? Just keep going. Put more people on it. Put more people on it, right? I don't think that it makes sense to me that staging a scene to look like, so if it wasn't, because technically by definition, somebody came and grabbed her and walked out the door, that's a kidnapping. So if you were trying to make it look like that, but it wasn't, what was the other, right? That was your first super chat. Wow, that is so cool. I feel honored to beat hell, and I mean that. Where is the film of her coming home? Well, maybe they have it, or maybe they're trying to unpeel it, right? This may be the reason, because he bought it immediately after the crime, like somebody that's going to ditch their car, and somebody had reported in that the way the purchase went down was sketchy. That was my understanding. The film of her leaving. Yeah, all of these things, the cameras only are going to hold that for 3 hours, which means anything that goes by, a bug, anything that changes and kicks that thing on, it's going to record. And it starts to record over what was there 3 hours earlier. Does that make sense to you? So then they have to go and peel it like an onion, and they have to take it off one layer at a time in hopes of making sure that they can find it. And they're literally peeling it off one after the other. Why prop the back door? Because you're already inside and you're figuring out maybe you're laying out your tarp. I'm not trying to be cold-hearted, but you're inside doing something. And you say on the walkie-talkie, just come in, the back door's propped open. And it's 2 doors, and they just put a pot or something so that it wouldn't click shut. They didn't want to have to open it, make sound. I can completely understand why you would prop it open. Opening a door makes clicking sounds. You have to turn a knob. Tumblers make sound. Thank you, Jeannie. I really appreciate that. Boy, I appreciate that. You have no idea. You guys are really bringing it, and it helps. I think she's under the house. Well, digging into the pavement, under that house. So those houses are built on a concrete platform, and you'd have to break through that platform, and then then you'd have to start digging through what some people call caliche. I don't know whether or not that's literally caliche because I'm not exactly sure the definition of caliche or what part of the world it's from. I have, however, lived 1.5 miles from her house and tried to dig to put a post into the ground. And it is a friggin' chore. To dig down a foot took me hours, and I needed a pickaxe and I needed all kinds of other equipment. And I'm not talking about a foot deep. I'm talking about a hole this big, a foot deep. Very, very difficult. But I'm of the firm belief that if so you're staging it to cover what? A murder? Then kill her and leave her inside. I'm not trying to sound cold-hearted. I know people bum out when I say this. Hey, Knight Rider. Speaking of Knight Rider, the man who voiced Knight Rider died today. He was 99. No, I think he might still be with us. It might be his birthday today. Have any photos from the inside of the house been released? No. The only thing that we have to go on the inside of the house is when Nancy filmed for something that she did on her daughter's show. They were making a bet or something. Opening the door repeatedly, wouldn't that keep triggering the camera? I don't know where the camera is on the back door, my friend, because the back, so when we're looking at, giggity, when you look at the back, everything back there, hold on one second. Come on now, why won't my phone work? Ha ha ha. Oh yeah, now I know. Me too, babe. Me too. Thank you, Brock Bandy. I appreciate your help always. So I'm of the firm belief that those back doors, which are like a French style doors, we had the same thing in our house. And there is an overhang, right? This is what leads out to the backyard. There's an overhang that jets out about 20 feet, right? So I don't know that those would be doors that have a camera on them. I could be wrong. I could be, but I'm not sure. There you go. See, this is kind of logical, right? Why do you keep going after them? Last to see her alive, first in the house after the police, and their actions don't make sense to me. I had 400 comments, and about 5 of them were fairly ugly, and maybe 7 or 8 of them disagreed, but were very friendly with why it would make a lot of sense for her to not reach out to her sister. And either way, that still means about 95% of the people that responded thought, no, I would have called my family first thing first to eliminate that they don't know where she is before I start calling everybody else and scaring the crap out of the world. Maybe she told my sister, but we can all disagree. In the desert, it's often a shallow grave, piles of rocks on top of the body. Hello, lucky kitty. You're not going to dig much of a deep one. But what's going to happen is you're going to see all kinds of birds that circle over the top of that, right? Carrion birds are incredible. If you have a shallow grave, they're going to find it. Carrion birds eat dead stuff. It's how they live. They survive by eating the most foul things on earth, right? Roadkill and whatnot. Sure, Christian, go ahead and put your channel up there. It's not going to offend me. I don't think they meant to kill her. I don't either. But if you accidentally kill her, why would you then stage a kidnapping? And I think that the what we know right now for evidence, they tell us things like, we know when the pacemaker disconnected from the base. We know when it spiked because they assume that's when somebody entered the house. Then they would have known if her heart wasn't beating when she left the house, right? The pacemaker would have said, it wouldn't have said she's dead. It would say, it would keep showing that they're sending a signal to try to fix the heart that's not beating. Capiche? Fueled by Folgers and Jesus. I love it. I'm sad. I don't understand why they took her away. Here's my theory. Could be wrong. William Daniels, well played. That is the voice. He's 99 today. I believe he's 99 today. Loved his voice. Greetings from Shasta Lake, California. Recent subscriber, regular viewer. Don't always agree, but I always hit like. Well, you know what, Alicia? That's the way to do it. So I think it was designed to be a kidnapping for money or for leverage or whatever, but they took her for a reason. And during the night, she didn't make it. It made it very hard for them to go through the normal deal after that. And the normal deal after that is to say, ask me a question that only she would know. Send a picture, send a video, any of those things. I also found it strange that in the very first time that Savannah made a video, she said, It's 2026, and we know that all of these things can be faked. I need real proof. Does that mean that they got a video that they thought was AI? Because that seemed like such an odd thing to say right out the gate. My theory is she passed away on the way from the scene. Mop Man, I think that makes a lot of sense. There would be a record of them getting on to check. Well, I don't know the answer to that, and Michelle Mybell, and I have asked people this in the past. You just made me realize, wouldn't Annie and Tommaso also have gotten online to check the cameras immediately after her friend called to check? You would think so, but this does not have a backup system. So this is the way Nest works. The Nest camera, which is kind of like Ring, but it's a product of Google. And we all love Google, don't we? Huh? You're the owner of the big red button. I'm working for Google right now as we speak. And you know what? Masters of free speech. Man, we love Google. Anyway, the Nest camera comes with a free service that once somebody shows up at your door, you get an alert. And you'll be able to look at that on your thing, but you can't go back and look at it after a 3-hour period of time. It gets shuffled. It doesn't get deleted. They just start recording other crap over the top of it. I think before long, a judge will declare Nancy deceased, and it will be interesting to see the distribution of the money from Nancy's estate. My understanding is that might take 3 years. Johnny Scoville read 7. What is the time frame milestones? Does Tommy start wondering about the progress of the case? I already worry about the progress of the case. However, I also have been through enough of these to know that they wouldn't tell us, right? They would not tell us one way or the other. If they had a suspect right now, they're not going to necessarily tell us that. They didn't in Koberger, right? They don't come out and go, hey, we got a suspect, because the suspect then starts to change their life quickly, right? Like get out of Dodge, stop talking to people, all kinds of stuff. One of the questions I get, and I know people ask this just so they can send me ugly emails afterwards. How would you feel if it was your mom? If it was my mom at this point, I would not have any hope whatsoever that she's alive. I'm sorry, I wouldn't. There's no reason for them to kill her alive. It's not paying them. They're not seeking money. Why would she still be alive? Not trying to be a dick. There's no chance she's still alive. In my humble opinion, there is no chance this woman is still alive. Unless by some chance they dumped her at a hospital in another country and she's in there with amnesia. I just don't see how it's possible. Possible someone knew she was deaf and they thought they were just going to rob her without knowing. And then she heard them, surprised them, and the plans changed. Don't yell. No, it's not stupid, and I'm not going to yell at you. Tear the head off of 1 or 2 subscribers and you never live it down. I'm kidding. No, I understand where you're coming from. Here's my points on that. Number 1, people that do burglaries don't do them when people are home. That's really kind of a rule of thumb. Does that mean it never happens? No, it does happen, but it is a very rare thing. They case it out, and most of the time, if they're going to go into someone's house, they're going to do it during the day because they will know where the people are and they can control the situation. They will go into a business at night, but I've said this and I will say it again. My mother is not a young woman. She's the same age as Nancy Guthrie. You go in for Mama Scoville, trust and believe that Mr. Smith and Wesson are right by her bedstand, and she's taken a course. She knows how to use it, and she will shoot 357 shells at you, right? At 85, a person with a 357 Magnum is pretty close to as dangerous as anybody coming in to get her. And there are 900 million guns in a country with 330 million people, right? Cluster FU, it's hard to say where they would put it. I mean, I could come at you and tell you what kind of super intelligent people that get rid of bodies do, but these people don't strike me as super intelligent. They kind of strike me as people that Tommy's survivor, Tim Trimble. Tommy's the best. He's real, honest, and genuinely himself. That's what makes him so appealing. No BS, no over-the-top fluff, just authenticity. Love watching his content. Journey, what a kind thing to say. And I really appreciate the huge super chat. It makes a huge difference. It really does. It'll keep me acting like an idiot. Assuming she died. So here's the thing. Here's what I could tell you. Guys that I know that used to get rid of bodies. And I've done time in prison with some really rowdy dudes, right? If you've ever heard of Tommy Karate, you can look him up. If not, maybe Google Tommy Karate. But this is a guy that allegedly got rid of 60 bodies. The people that do this and do it for a living are very good at what they do. And I'm not trying to bum anybody out, but they normally take these people away in pieces, or they put them in a trunk of a car and they take them to some place that's going to take that car and crush it into a cube about 2 feet by 2 feet. When that cube gets to China, a hand picks it up and they drop it into something to melt it. They're not even taking it apart. And the mob did that for a really, really long time. But these people aren't pros. So my guess would be they dug a hole in someone's backyard. Mopman has said, that he thinks they could have put it in a freezer. That's not a bad call. People will sometimes freeze bodies and keep them until they can come up with a better plan, like the heat kills down. Very famous hitman for the mob back in the day called Kuklinski. Didn't kill nearly the number of people that he claims to. He got really, really kind of into the whole thing when they started interviewing him. But he definitely killed a lot of people. And they called him the Iceman because he had bought a full-size, industrial freezer, the kind you would have at a restaurant. And he had it delivered to his house. It's actually how they caught him. And he would bring these people out and dump them on the side of the Long Island Expressway, right? Thank you so much. You look fantastic in green. User NB7WN7BB5R. See that, Johnny Scoble? Didn't think I'd pull that off, did you? Brian Enton tonight said the way it looked, it didn't look like an assault, but that doesn't mean it wasn't. Well, I don't think it was an assault. This is a message sent, disappeared, scariest threat ever. Who's the message to, Skyflower? Here's the thing about messages, and this is something I know a little bit about, right? I've pissed off people over the course of my life who were these guys. And when they send you a message, they make sure you know what the message is, right? There's nothing vague about it. This woman disappeared, right? There's nothing out there that screams message, right? And what's the message? Is the message shut up? And what are they shutting up about, right? A message is not usually, I'm going to grab your octogenarian mother and make her disappear. You want to send the message? Go in and shoot her, right? And then leave something in the blood that you write on with a finger so that the person knows exactly why you did it. Because if the person doesn't know why you did it, then it seems a bit ambiguous and kind of a waste of time in terms of sending a message. Karate was nuts. He absolutely was nuts. And I had the fortune of meeting that guy on the inside. And if you ever got a chance to hear him speak, you might understand why he is. Well, thank you, Reese. What a kind thing to say. Keep it up. And I'm going to show you your neck beard. I mean, your tinfoil hat. Sorry, what? Sorry about that. We're having cat trouble. Upset. I have missed most of this. That's okay. They're going to keep it up there forever, Stephanie. But I wish people would just be more aware of the fact that Tommy is very open and supporting different viewpoints, just so a decent level of respect. You know what? That's actually pretty solid, man. Maybe you should write my intro. Because honestly, that's about it. Alicia Wood, the Epstein thing doesn't make any sense to me because it's very easy to do research and say, who, out of curiosity, did more damage to Epstein than anyone else in terms of reporters? And Savannah Guthrie doesn't show up in the top 5. So why do you go all the way down to number 7? If she didn't really damage you, the one that's at the top of the list is a woman out of Florida that literally is the reason that Epstein went to jail the second time. The reason that case was reopened because it was how much deep diving this woman did into the case. That would have been a good woman to send a message to. Savannah was not hard-hitting info on the Guthrie case. If you've not watched it, maybe you should. And I'm not saying it's a fluff piece or anything like that, but she was doing stuff after the world already knew about it. She was allowing some of the victims to speak. Wasn't the first time any of them had spoken. In fact, they had spoken on so many other channels for such longer periods of time that didn't make any sense to me. Freezer thing happened to someone I used to work with, her son whom we babysat. Well, the way they caught, finishing the thoughts that I never finished, the way that they caught the Iceman, he dumped a body on the Long Island Expressway. And unfortunately, the truck at night saw the body. That never happened. They usually didn't see it until 1 or 2 in the afternoon. And not trying to gross anybody out, but if a person gets killed in a way that they can't figure out, when they take them in for the autopsy, they take a thermometer that looks a lot like the one you got in the kitchen, and they shove it right into the center of the person's chest. And they take a core temperature of the body because that core temperature drops at a very specific rate. If it's left outside, you can tell how long they've been dead based on how long it takes for that to drop. But it hit ice in the middle of this person's body. And that turned them on to the fact that this person would have been in a very large freezer because they weren't crunched up. They were fully, they were in a standing position. So that got them on to the Iceman.
Carboni style.
Yeah, Carboni style. Well played. He got cocky. That's how he got caught. True. Also, Like everybody else, that guy wasn't a hitman. He was a serial killer, and he got paid to do what he liked. And serial killers spiral out of control. They do stuff that is just stupid, man. They do stuff like Tommy Karate. Took a souvenir off of every single body. I can't even imagine how difficult it's going to be for Savannah to return to the Today Show next week. Yeah, it's going to be hard. I think on the other hand, it's probably going to be cathartic. She doesn't have French doors. There are 2 doors on opposite sides of the patio, and they both have both doors were propped open. That is not at all what I heard. If that's the truth, I stand corrected. That is not at all what I heard. And it would be odd because I've been on 50 or 60 of those in the Catalina foothills, and almost all of them have 2 French doors that lead out. But you could be right. That's new. It's news to me. It is her choice. No one forced her to return. I absolutely agree with you. I think it's going to be cathartic. I think it will help. Yes, I heard Ashley say that they were propped open with planters as well. I think it'll be therapeutic for her, don't you? I mean, don't you think that this would be healthy to at least start getting back? Hey, Mad Dog. Oh, no, that's Mad YG. I'm sorry. I thought you were someone else. Loving Tommy and Reese, thank you for sharing. Reese would be my significant other. You can find her at Relatable Reese. You should hit subscribe over there. You wouldn't believe all the cool stuff I get when you do. And do me a favor. Head over there to the Johnny Scoville at Chase the Heat. We're into nepotism here, people. And if you like my content, you'll be far less offended by the other two, but they're very similar to me in a lot of ways. What evidence do I think will finally crack the case? It's going to be one of 2 things, in my humble opinion. There she is, SNZ. It's either going to be something that comes up off of a car that was in the neighborhood, like that kind of evidence. It's going to be something that is in the cyber realm, or it's going to be somebody that the longer this time goes on, the more likely it is that somebody that is on the periphery of this case will talk. You know, someone left a comment on the last video that said, I'm shocked that these people haven't, somebody hasn't admitted that they were part of this to get the cash, because, criminals don't usually, hold their mud. They usually tell on each other, and they do. It's a great comment. The problem is this: if the only 3 people right now are the 3 people that were involved in this, the getaway driver, the person at the front door, and the person that went in the back, right, and propped the doors open or whatever. Let's say those are the only 3 people that absolutely are in on this, and there's nobody on the periphery that is 100% sure. They might think, but they're a little freaked out. They're not saying anything. None of those 3 people can rat. Because I don't care what deal you cut. If you were there that night, you're going to spend the rest of your life in prison. That's it. And you sure as hell ain't getting $1 million. Those people are all in. They are tied together by the death, right? There's no getting around that. That's felony murder. That's capital murder. That can get you the needle, right? Now, they could cut a deal to get life in prison, but most criminals aren't really stoked to do life in prison, right? They would like to stay free. They absolutely could have. And thank you very much, Maddie. I really appreciate that. I had a cat named Maddie once, and she looked a lot like Katy Perry, but she was gray. And it was really funny because I named her Madeline. We called her Maddie, and I took her to go get fixed. And the doctor said to me, might want to change his name to Mac. There are people that use chemicals to get rid of people. Jeffrey Dahmer was kind of famous for it, liquefying a body. And there's a lot of chemicals that can do that. And that's a possibility. It really is. It's not a pleasant one to think about, but only 1 set of doors was propped open, and the perps propped the gate open with flower pots as well. So they were wanting a smooth entrance into the back without making a lot of noise, it sounds like to me. Per Banfield, there are double doors leading into the kitchen that were propped open. Double doors? It's kind of what I heard too. Heard it on Banfield. But I've been told that that is not the case, and I'm not going to argue. We'll wait and see how that pans out. Did you see my super chat? I had a question about Rex Harmon. DS Kitty Diane. No, that's what happens when I show pictures. Let me get back there. I am really sorry. Yes, look at this. Do you have an opinion as to why Rex Hauerman, the Gilgo Beach, would plead guilty? That's not the expectation. No, I do have an opinion on this. This guy, have you seen any of the video of them going out to this guy's house? This guy was a train wreck. If you've not followed the out on Long Island, the serial killer out at Gilgo Beach, we're definitely going to be talking about that. It was really, really bizarre just how much of a different life this guy led. Like in New York, he's trying to be this, this business dude. And his house out there was just disturbing. It looked like something that a hoarder would live in. I think that a lot of times they're just relieved that this is over. And to drag everybody through the process, a lot of times people think about their families, but it's shocking how often serial killers plead guilty. There's just no real other opportunity for them. You're not gonna get away with this. They had enough evidence that this dude isn't gonna get away with it. There's no chance. Psycho that was obsessed with Nancy after seeing her on TV. That's a possibility, and a lot of people think that. If, however, that is the case, then my theory is out the window, because my theory is that this was not done by one person, right? G-Man says, dude was guilty. That's why. I think that's got something to do with it. Hold on one second. Brian does say no evidence of assault. Yeah, I agree with that. So here's the deal on that. I believe 3 people did this. I believe there was the person at the front door, there was a person at the back door, and there was a getaway driver. And if that's the case, if you're preoccupied with somebody on TV and you get this, what do they call it? Erotomania, I think is what it's called, where you are so infatuated with someone that you actually believe they're talking to you. Like she went on the air and the guy goes, oh my God, she talked to me today. Did you hear when she did that story on this? That was for me. Like people get really out there. The best example of it that most people give is the guy that shot Ronald Reagan, right? Hinckley. He had such a thing for Jodie Foster that he believed he was part of the film and he was just batshit crazy. How do you get 2 other people for that whole folio do thing? How do you get 2 other lunatics to help you with that? Because I let's say just one other person, that there was a getaway driver. Perhaps Nancy was burned in a satanic ritual. I hate to say this, but I think that that's as good a theory as any other. Why do you take somebody? Although here's the one takeaway on that is odd is that I'm not trying to preach to anybody or go in any direction, but if you look into Satanism, right, the real people, and I'm not talking about the guys that do this crap and it's like a Hollywood thing, but I mean the people that literally are worshiping Satan. The younger the person, right? This was something that Aleister Crowley wrote about pretty extensively. You don't do it with people that have been in life, right? People that have lost their virginity, people that have gone through all of these life experiences. You're trying to steal innocence. You're trying to be the biggest scumbag on earth. And the potential of that life that you're taking is part of the buzz. At 84 years old, I don't see her as a great sacrifice. And I'm not trying to be a jackwagon, but just from the sort of the dogma, I guess, of Satanists, it doesn't make sense. Elizabeth Smart is not dead. You're 100% right. No, Elizabeth Smart was found 9 months after she was abducted. However, she was also 14 and in really incredible shape. And it's still, if you've ever read the story, Buffy, good to see you. If you've ever read the story, it's terrifying. I read that book. And one of the highlights of my life was actually seeing that guy get punched in the head. He was going through the transfer center in Oklahoma the same time I was. And I saw somebody who had just read the book as well and ran up and punched that dude so hard in the head that he knocked down the metal detector in the unit. A cop said to him, if you do this, I promise you're not going to get written up. And the guy went, done. And he ran over. And the guy that abducted Elizabeth Smart is this tall. I'm not kidding you. The guy, I bet he's not 5'3". He's so short, it's incredible. My opinion, look at the construction crews. I feel in my soul it's related. Okay. And that very well may be the case. I still believe there's more than one person in this. And there are absolutely examples of that whole folio do, right? I don't know French, but it's like a shared mental illness, right? There's been some famous cases of it. A couple of women that just went nuts over the course of about a 3-day period of time. One jumped into traffic, one killed a couple of people, and it all just seemed to happen at once. What are your favorite kind of true crime stories that you follow? Sad but true. I don't follow paper crimes. I don't care about people that stole a lot of money, maybe because I stole money, but that doesn't interest me a whole lot. It's abhorrent behavior. It's violence, right? It's depravity. It's murder. It's the kind of things that make for a good horror movie. And it's not because I'm a ghoul, but it's because this evil exists in the world, right? It really does. And there's something so fascinating because every day we get up and there's 900 people in there, which reminds me, smack the like button, hit subscribe, and hit the bell for notification. I'm a YouTuber. But none of us can wrap our head around the idea of we're going to get up tomorrow and go abduct somebody, or we're going to get up tomorrow, grab somebody, torture them, and kill them. And the fact that those kinds of individuals exist is fascinating in a way that I think is more alive in 2026 than ever before. We used to watch things on television that were engineered to keep us intrigued. Nothing is real anymore. And there's so much AI that sadly, the only kind of mysteries that are real anymore are real. And it's terrifying, but, before anybody craps on me, about 85% of people that watch true crime of this variety, like the murdering and the raping and the violence, are female. It's just a fact. And there are a lot of guys that love they're most likely the victim, right? Seriously. The victims of most violent crimes aren't men. I completely understand why women would be fascinated. I think a lot of times it's the need to try to avoid it or to understand it more at some level. And I think for a lot of us, it's just, this is real and there's not much real anymore. As bad as it is absolutely interesting whether we like it or not. If it was neckbeard, didn't he have to pay them? Can they trace the payment? Do you think that they paid the bad guys yet? No, I don't. This is one of those jobs, especially if the idea was it was going to be an abduction. They may have given him money to buy the balaclavas and to do things like that. And he did make a lot of references, Wendy, about ashes and fire. And there's been a lot of that. And people are reading into that. And I don't blame them. It does seem somewhat fascinating. But no, this is the kind of thing, like you ever play craps? You're betting on the come line, right? This is what's going to happen when you get paid. Right. When we get this money, you're going to get 25%. You're going to get 25%. You're going to get 300,000 for what you did. Right. And this is not unusual. Right. When guys pull a job, very often the pay comes after you steal the jewels and the jewels get sold, or whatever it is you're doing gets liquidated into cash. In the case of a kidnapping for ransom, once we get the ransom, we're all going to cut it up. We're going to cut the loot up. And at that point, we take off. So I don't think that they would have been paid yet. If they had to carry her out, there had to be more than one person. Yeah, exactly. And, somebody said the other day, they were like, I bench press 225 pounds. In my youth, I could hit 3 wheels, right? I could hit 315. I assure you, there's a difference between pushing up 315 pounds and carrying 150 pounds of dead weight, right? And whether they're dead or not, you understand the idea of try to pick up a 100-pound bag of sand versus a 100-pound barbell. It's a very, very different hey, how you doing? She's such a good kitty. She really is. Yeah, I think it would require 2 people to carry her out. There you go. You are far too level-headed to be on YouTube. Perhaps we could recommend a different platform for you. You know what I mean? Maybe go to a library or something. My opinion is I enjoy listening to other viewpoints other than my own because it allows me to stretch my understanding to agree or disagree. Thank you. It would be boring otherwise. Well, you're really just too level-headed to hang out with. Can you share a little bit about the man who kidnapped Elizabeth? Someone is asking about him. Yeah, he was a religious fanatic. For the life of me, his name is escaping me. And you know what? That's probably a good thing. He's probably not worth saying his name out loud. He was a religious fanatic who was a believer in the Church of Latter-day Saints, but before anybody gets pissed at me, if you're a Mormon, back off. It was one of those people that takes a religion and bastardizes the hell out of it. You follow me? Yeah, Mitchell is his last name, Brian Mitchell. And he and his wife his wife believed that he was a prophet, and he kidnapped Elizabeth Smart and then tried to convince her that he was a prophet as well. And then he took her virginity and continued to sexually assault her while his wife was there for about a 9-month period of time. And he forced her to wear a burqa when they went out in public. It's a horrific story. It's an absolutely horrific story. He perverted the religion to a degree that you would not believe. And he got sentenced to life without the possibility of parole to federal prison. And everywhere he goes, he's treated an awful lot like a heavy bag at a boxing gym. This guy gets beat up probably more than anyone on earth other than him deserves. But that's what happens. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. Oh, no. Larry Nasser actually probably gets beat up more. Nasser gets stabbed or beat up on every yard he goes to. Eventually, they found her live walking down a road with them. And I'll tell you something. The brainwashing that had taken place, she was actually sitting in a police station continuing to say that her name was not Elizabeth Smart. And it's really terrifying, right? How much damage somebody can do. And when they finally got someone in there, and I'm not trying to bust anybody's balls, but they finally got somebody in there that was smart enough to realize how to ask the questions. And they said, it's over. You're never going back with him. this is over. You can go home. You're Elizabeth Smart. And she broke down and said that she was. But that's the kind of crap. Like, this kind of evil is real. And there are people on this planet that will argue with me and say there's no such thing as an evil person. There are people who do evil stuff. You're wrong. I don't care what textbook you got or what PhD you got. Go spend 14 or 15 years in a federal prison. Go meet some of these cats. Drew Peterson is that kind of evil. Off topic. Sorry to cut your head shaving above the back of your ear. You caught that? Good Lord. What am I on a big screen? I did too. It's exactly what happened. Rue, you're funny. But that is what happened. I do it a lot, unfortunately. That's what happens when you got to shave your head every day. You guys may not realize this. But if I don't shave my head, this comes in like, I mean, I look like, what was the name of that guy with all the hair? He ended up going bald too, but I look like the guy on the cover of the romance novels. Like, my hair just flows in the wind. It's absolutely, Fabio, there you go. It's absolutely impressive. I worked on a beer truck for years, and I was in the keg part of the business. Full keg of beer weighs 176 pounds, not far off from Nancy's weight. One person isn't carrying it by themselves. Yeah, and imagine if that keg was made of, say, fabric. I've carried a lot of kegs. Johnny Scoble says, I have carried a lot of kegs. He has. Sadly, he really has. Do you think Nanos is capable of overseeing through thorough investigation of Tommaso or anyone else? No, I don't. I think he's a farce. I don't think he was ever a good cop. He won an award very early on in his career because he did something heroic that in any other time could have been viewed in other ways, right? He saved somebody or whatever, but I think he's an evil cat, and I think he's bullshitted his resume for so long. I don't think he had a clue what to do. I need a head blade. You know what? I had a head blade for a really long time, Chef Brian K. I also have, somebody bought me years ago one of those electric numbers, but when I'm in a hurry, I grab the old Gillette 5 blade and cut myself. I don't think he's capable of that, Jennifer Liberty, and it's a great question. I don't think he's even capable of running an investigation for a burglary. But this is not the kind of investigation that any sheriff in North America has an idea of how to run. You understand? This isn't a normal investigation. Normal investigations, there's things that you can do, and you should do the same thing every time. He didn't even lock down the crime scene. He didn't do anything right in this. But there's a great example there. You know, the missing general, right, who's tied to the UFO scandals and all of that. When he went missing and they walked around and they were like, hey, his stuff is still left in here, but his gun might be missing. Call the feds instantly, right? Call the feds, bring him in here, because he didn't have that friction. And when they did the first press conference, they came out and told you just enough so that they weren't ruining the investigation, but they gave you enough so that you kept coming back, right? And they said right from the beginning, we're deferring to the FBI on this. This is what they do for a living, right? The FBI has a hostage investigation division. There's no sheriff in the United States that has a hostage investigation division, right? A kidnapping department. You call in the professionals, but he couldn't because the professionals are busting his balls about stealing an election. And he's got all kinds of butthurt going on with the feds and has for a long time. Hates big government, right? Loves big government. He's a Democrat. This is a guy that he thinks that his little fiefdom should be his. He got rid of everybody in the division that is investigating this that had any seniority. Guys that had worked 10 or 15 years in robbery homicide are all gone. He either ran them off or they said, I'll take the early retirement. I'm not working for this asshat. That's what happened. The average person in Pima County who's working that division has less than 2 years experience, not as a cop. This gets misquoted all the time. They might have been in another division for 10 years, but they've been working robbery homicide for 2 years or less. Not for nothing. That's not who you want working on this case, right? That's a shame. What was Drew Peterson like? I think he sounds like a complete ass. Here's the crazy thing. Honest to God, here's the crazy thing. If you had no idea what his crime was and you sat down and talked to him for 2 or 3 hours, he would charm your socks off. He's got a great sense of humor. He pays attention to the things that you say. He's a textbook psychopath, right? He's charming to beat hell. He's glib. He's fast on his feet. Stick around for about 6 more hours and you're going to watch something piss the guy off. And you will watch, right, just a black cloud come over him. His eyes change, everything. And I've told the story on here before, but he and I happened to be in a situation in prison where somebody got their nose bitten off. It was absolutely horrific. You could literally, it looked like a guy's skull. You could see up into him. And I'm not a wimp, but my heart was doing this one. I felt like I was going to die. It was the scariest crap I ever saw. And the guy spit the nose at our desk. It went under the desk. And Drew went and got paper towels and picked it up, looked at me laughing his ass off. He's like, how about that? And I was like, you ain't right. Like, there was nobody in that room. And this was a room full of stone cold killers. There was nobody in there laughing but Drew Peterson. He's damaged goods. And if I had to bet, I would say way more than 2 people, right? Not just Stacy, his wife that was missing, and his previous wife that they exhumed. I would say that he killed a lot more people than that. He got bounced out of the police department when he was a narc for doing some things that we can't find out really. But there was some stuff that was going on in investigations, and he went from being a narc officer to being a beat cop, which is about the nastiest demotion that you can possibly get. He was in the military. He worked as an MP. And after you've been around 9 to 10 days, you realize that those glib stories, he's only got 12 of them. And he just continues to tell them over and over again. Psychopaths don't feel emotions in the way we do. They copy other people's emotions. And they know that these stories made people laugh. And they know when to laugh and when to smile. And they just keep recycling it. Drew's a textbook psychopath, in my opinion. He was terrifying to be around. I saw a podcast that said that the second ransom note was an apology because she accidentally died. And that's why the second family video to the perp was worded the way that it did. Yeah, I saw that video too. And it may or may not be true. I don't know whether or not that's the truth. It certainly fits the narrative, right? But that video was based on somebody called Nerdy. And I don't know. I'm not saying anything bad about Nerdy. But if a video comes out tomorrow and they say Tommy Scoville's got information that's going to break this, it's been a long time. And I haven't had that information yet. I'm always a little freaked out when a content creator comes out with something like that because you don't have to give up your sources in any way. You follow me? So you can say whatever you want and they can't force you. Did I do time with John Gotti? I did not. John Gotti was in a very specific place. Minx, good to see you. I'm glad that you're here. No, John Gotti he was in Marion. We might have been in at the same time, but I never saw him. Tommy, would the family make the decision to declare Nancy deceased, or is that something? No, they cannot do that, Minx. It's a great question, but they can't. That has to be done by the state for a lot of reasons. Psychopaths are fascinated with human misery. They are. They can't feel emotions, so they live to watch emotions, and they get real bored trying to memorize all of the stuff, and then they want to see somebody in real suffering. It's disgusting, but it's bad. Like a douche canoe? Yeah, well, he is. Drew is he's a frightening individual. And I don't mean frightening I was 60 or 70 pounds. I got pictures I can put up next time we're live. I could put up pictures of me and Drew. I was considerably bigger than him. He was considerably older than me. I wasn't afraid of him as a human, but I don't like being that close to evil. I don't like being that close to hate. And in the real world, I can walk away from that and never have to deal with it ever again. And in prison, you might get stuck with this person. He was a secretary and I was a secretary. We shared an office, which was a hallway. But I had to sit at a desk with this ass for about 36 hours a week. They said it was 40, but we were never there 40 hours a week. But 36 hours a week for a really long time. Dahmer did state time, not Fed time, Roberta. So I was a federal inmate. Federal crimes, kidnapping is a federal crime. Bank robbery is a federal crime. Huge amounts of drugs. Anything that crosses state lines. She's behind me. Squirrel in the zipper. He's a good kitty. She's such a lady, unlike her sister. Do me a favor, people, smack that like button, hit subscribe, hit the bell for notification. Then get over there and do it for that woman right there. That's Relatable Reese. That is my significant other. You did time with Ted Bundy. So you were in Florida back in the day, or did you do it in Colorado? Yeah, Bundy was a piece of work. He really was. I read a book about his last days on Earth. Bundy was terrified of death. I think that there's something I find comforting in that. Whether you like the death penalty or not, he made a lot of people feel that fear. I'm glad he felt it on the way out. Hate me. One more good reason. There are people that just should not be allowed to be on this planet. And when Florida, yeah. And Bundy escaped twice. The second time he escaped, it cost 3 more people their lives. So I don't think he was a guy that you could let hang out. Yeah, a lot of things could have saved me from doing time in prison. But you know something? If I had to go back and start over, there's not a lot I would change. And I know that may sound really stupid, but I would have gone through life being the ass that I was. I probably would never have helped anybody. I wouldn't have been kind. that forced me into a place that changed me so dramatically that I ended up with a woman that literally makes me happier than I ever thought I could be. I'm not putting that on for anybody's benefit. I literally have never been happier in my life. And every left-hand turn and every stupid thing that you do takes you to where you're at today. And what I do for a living, I dig 99% of the time. And I dig it a lot more since moving to South America. But, you thought that was, I thought that interview, I thought that entire thing was just performance. Honestly, I've watched that interview. I can't tell you how many times, and I didn't buy any of it. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I didn't buy any of it. Him talking about his conversion or him talking about the fact that pornography led him into this. He had bad wiring. His first girlfriend said that he wanted her to lay in a bathtub, get freezing cold, and then he wanted to have sex with her while she laid there pretending not to be alive. Like, this dude had really bad wiring. The people that I read a book on him, and the people that knew him as a kid just said, super good looking dude, right? But there was just something incredibly creepy about him all of the time, right? There's just something about the dude that was just incredibly creepy. It just didn't seem right. And I've met a couple of serial killers. And for the most part, you can tell pretty quickly that there's just something off, right? Yeah, never believed in what ifs. And here's the thing, man. No, look, I mean, porn may send people. Do you know how many people look at porn every single day worldwide? For real? It's a God blessed $1 trillion industry. And the number of people that look at porn that don't end up serial killers, right, is you could just as easily say that, he wasn't breastfed or he was breastfed. There's a book on all of this shit where they say, they didn't use the right diaper, or they said this the first time they spanked him, they did it bare on the ass. Like, there's been a theory written on every single thing. I think what it really comes down to is right in here, there's bad wiring. And they're talking now about the ability to look at people's heads. Are murderers afraid of the death penalty? Some are. I don't think most of them feel in the traditional sense of the word that you do. And I don't mean, look, there are murderers who aren't killers, right? There are a lot of people that screw up. They go home and find their wife in bed with another guy and go, bang. And it's a split-second decision and they screw up. Right? Or brain tumors. Absolutely. There have been many, many cases where people had something in their head very much like a brain tumor that caused this. Was it Bundy that had bad body odor? I don't remember reading that about Bundy. Brain disease and demons. Yeah, I mean, but, the difference between somebody who kills somebody in an instant or does something and for the rest of their life regrets it. I've told the story on here, and my friend has actually been on. He swung a pool cue in a bar fight. And the guy ducked and he hit the woman behind her. And that to me is a split-second decision. I'm a guy that broke the law for years and years and years, and I made a decision to do it. But he's worse because he killed somebody. And when he went to his arraignment, you can't plead guilty at your arraignment because they want to do a pre-sentence investigation. He said, I want to plead guilty today. And the judge said, you can't do that. You have rights. He goes, I don't want them. I killed the woman. I did it. Sentence me. And he has taken responsibility from day one. He got out of prison. He's done everything right. He's on lifetime probation for the rest of his life, and they just commuted his lifetime probation. He has a wife. He has a daughter. It was a 1-second split decision that screwed up the lives of him and the woman that he hit and her family. But he's done everything right since. It was a split second. That's not Drew Peterson, right? That's not Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy was cutting women's heads off and then having oral sex with their decapitated heads. This is a guy that's wiring is bad, right? Really bad. Hey, letter you came from the boat. I probably read that wrong, but thank you so much for the support. I really appreciate it. How much money did I have to steal to support my drug habit? About $700 a day. I had about a $700 a day heroin habit, which drove all of my crimes. I didn't steal because I like to steal. I stole because I needed it. Was Bundy on the dating? Was he the dating game guy? I don't know, but you know how many people have been on the dating game? If you ever went out to Hollywood and you wanted to get into acting of any kind, one of the first gigs they can get you is getting on the dating game. And they pitch it to you as it's going to be a great launching pad and everything else. I skipped it, but tons of people that tried to get into that line of work did it. Your dad died like that? I'm sorry to hear that. I really am. And here's the thing, like he came on the show and talked about it, and he's never going to be right from it. But not everyone is like that. There are people that go into prison and forget what they did 2 seconds later. Alcoa, thank you. You're right. The Night Stalker? No, he never made it. Look, by the time you saw the pictures of the Night Stalker, this is actually kind of funny. When you see pictures of the Night Stalker, his teeth didn't look like that at all. Yeah, Rodney Alcala commits a series of grisly murders in the 1970s. While the mother of one of his victims desperately searches for answers, Rodney maintains his intelligent, smooth-talking persona, and he was on the dating game. That's who that was. His grill was so messed up. By the time we saw him and you see the interviews and all that, they had fixed his teeth. When he was first busted, his teeth did this number, like he could eat corn on the cob through a picket fence. You did time with Warren Jeffs. Oh yeah, Warren Jeffs is as evil as anyone on planet Earth. If you believe that God sent you here and that gives you the right to impregnate or take any 12-year-old you want, I almost have more respect for Bundy, right? At least he isn't wrapping it in God, you know. I have no respect for Warren Jeffs at all. I hope he dies in there, and I hope it's unpleasant. I agree with Reese. Do a show on how gross Bundy was. You know, I could do that. Ramirez got the crap beat out of him by the neighbors. The neighborhood got him and beat the piss out of him. They saw him on the cover of they had just put up the picture of him on the newspaper, and he was trying to get to a bus, and they beat the bark off of him. In fact, he's probably lucky they didn't kill him out there. He died of cancer in prison. But he really glommed on to the whole I'm evil, I'm a Satanist, I'm all that. He rode that for all it was worth. He really loved the notoriety. He was a sick man. But all of the stuff that he said, if you ever listen to his interviews, he wrote out the answers ahead of time. He had all of these things that he wanted. Good Lord, Cat, that's terrifying. He wanted those questions. He was all over wanting to be able to say all of those things about countries kill every day with a push of a button. But Cat, it always freaks me out when people say stuff like this. It really does. I'm so glad you're still with us. Do you believe a lot of these really evil people are really overtaken by demons? Yeah, I do. Now, whether or not they invite them in or what it is, I do believe that evil exists. And there are people you can put labels on it or whatever. But the people that I have met that are no bullshit evil absolutely seem to be possessed by something, right? Just seem to be possessed by it. And, look at Jeffrey Dahmer. People say, well, it's just bad wiring, this and that. He was eating guys' junk. He was cooking penises in his kitchen and eating them. He was making an altar in his bedroom out of human skulls. And at the end, he had 2 or 3 bodies inside big vats decomposing while he had one in the shower, drying out. And at the same time, he was trying to drill holes in people's heads so that he could pour acid inside there and turn them into a sex slave that he could just sodomize whenever he wanted. And that way he wouldn't have to go out and get more. And he's not crazy. He was not found crazy. He pled not guilty by reason of insanity. And they went, no, the dick eater? No, he's all right. Nothing wrong with him. My neighbor's house next door got raided by the FBI. They were all over the lawn. That was a shocker. He had child porn. You can't say that on YouTube. Was also a baseball coach. Oh, he got probation? What freaking state do you live in? That's awful. God help us, that's awful. And you know what? This isn't going to be a popular opinion. If you get caught with that stuff, they should kill you. They're not going to rehabilitate you. They should kill you. The more evil you do, the more demons enter. I believe that. You've heard of people being possessed by legions of demons. I absolutely have, and I believe it. What do I think of the lead poisoning theory? I think it probably holds as much. You're in Chicago. That probably holds as much weight as anything else. But I think what it really comes down to is evil exists in this world. And there are people that fight it. I was not a good person for a really long time. What did Dahmer say to Bobbitt? Are you going to eat that? Well played. Well played. That's actually really funny. I've been doing an awful lot of work to get ready for this show already. Boy, that Duger family. That's it, folks. This is the time of the evening where I wrap this puppy up. Thank you for spending this much time with me. But this is the part where I go out and hang out with my girl. We are all sinners, make no mistake. We're not cooking penises, right? I've done a lot of really bad stuff in my life, but if you left, 20 or 30 bodies behind, I'm a little freaked out by that. And then there are people who will say, and all that person has to do is accept the Lord and he gets to go to heaven after everything he did. You didn't read the book enough, right? It talks about truly repenting. And I will assure you that Bundy wasn't capable of true repentance. He just wasn't. All right, people, between now and the next time I see you, get by there and smack the like button, subscribe, and hit the bell for notification over on my brother's channel, Chase the Heat. You'll thank me later. And then get over here and do it at my wife's channel, which is called Relatable Reese. And I promise you'll thank me for that. Everyone that has thanked me. Google says Nancy Guthrie is a strong believer. So closing, I will repay 2 blessings for each of your troubles. The Lord, their God, will rescue his people just as a shepherd rescues his sheep. Zechariah 9:12. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Abigail. Your kindness is never ending, and it is always a pleasure when you are here. I mean that. Come here. You gotta say goodnight. Say goodnight, squirrel nut zipper. Are you gonna bite me? You look like you're gonna bite me. Come on, be nice. She's a good kitty. All right, people. See you on the next one. Please keep the Guthrie family in your prayers. No matter what you believe on this case, they need our prayers. Good night, everybody. I love you. Bye-bye.